Welcome to another video of Sonic Gazelle Pilot. We are going to do a flight in a Skyhawk 172 of Cessna in the Swiss Alps. And well, actually in the French Alps. As you can see here, if I zoom in to the Alps, you will see that we have an airport that is named Lima Foxtrot Kilo Alpha. I think it's this one, Albertville, and we are going to fly to Courchevel, which is here. And if we zoom in, you can see that for the flight we have visual guidelines. We are going to do a visual flight rules flight, and we are going to follow this valley all the way south and then head over those peaks and make a right turn to land in Courchevel. Before we take off in Albertville, we are going to plan this flight with Navigraph charts. A good flight plan is important when you do VFR flights. We are going to choose a new flight and select as the origin Lima Foxtrot Kilo Alpha, which is Albertville in France, and add it to the route. And then let us zoom in. We want to have VFR enabled so that we have the details of the terrain. And in Albertville we can take off from runway 05. So I'm going to select runway 05 and add it to the route. And then we are going to start looking for waypoints. Now, as you can see, there is a river flowing through a valley here. So we'll take off in northeastern direction. And our waypoint could be where the river splits into 2 points. One going north, one bound east. And we are going to follow the valley east. So let me put a waypoint somewhere here before that junction and add that to the route. I'm going to rename that waypoint and call it waypoint 1. And create it. And then we are going to take a right hand turn and follow the valley. As you can see, the altitude lines here go from 2000 to 3000 to 4000, so there's going to be a high peak on the right hand side, and also on the left hand side it goes from 3000 4000 to a peak here that is Roche Pourrie at 6696 feet, so there will be a peak also on the left hand side. So we'll just have a waypoint somewhere here where the river takes a right hand turn, and we add it to the route, and I'm going to call this waypoint waypoint 2. And then next, it's quite simple. We are going to follow the valley, steadily climbing. I think we want to aim for 7,500 feet. So if we follow the valley, for going to Courchevel, we will have to go all the way to Moutier. So for recognition reasons, I'll fly on the left hand side of this village, and that's why I'm going to put a waypoint somewhere here so that we can recognize the village through the left window, and I'm going to call this waypoint 3. From there on, we want to fly to land on Courchevel. Now, Courchevel is somewhere situated here. This is the airport of Courchevel. So we are going to follow an approach line, and we are going to aim straight over this village here, straight to the peaks that are situated right there. The Dent du Villard at 7,943. That's where we are going to aim for. So I'm going to put a waypoint before this peak here, somewhere right there. And I'll add that to the route, and I'll call that the final waypoint. And then from there we are going to choose Courchevel, runway 4, as our destination. As you can see, the runway is quite short. It hangs over a cliff here because we go here from 6,000 to higher, and I'm going to set the waypoint of the airport as a destination and add it to the route. So we have now our full flight. And when we are flying in VFR, we are going to look for characteristics in the terrain and look for rivers and villages, etc. To make this flight succeed. Let's switch to our aircraft on the runway in Albertville. So here we are at runway 5 in Albertville. Let us find our position on Navigraph charts. What I can do is I can zoom into our runway and then tilt and flip the map so that we have our map in the direction that we are looking at. So in front of us, what do we have? We have a river splitting in two, doing a Y split with a left leg, and we are going to follow the right leg. Now from the ground we won't see the river, but we can see the peaks in front of us. There is a peak here, the Mont Comillon, which is 3,340 feet in front of us, a bit to the left, and then a much higher peak to the right in front of us, which is Roche Pourrie, 6,696 feet. So we are aiming for those peaks, and we will recognize the valley and make our turn here to the right hand side. So back in the airplane, as you can see, that's the peak, the smaller one of 3,000 and a bit feet, and that's the high peak of 6,000 feet, with our Y turn being here with a right leg into that valley where we are aiming for. So let me put off screen the flaps to full, and then I'm going to release the parking brake and go full throttle, aiming at the departure speed of 55 knots. $40, 55, and I can pull up. So what I'll do to gain speed is I'll dip the nose a little bit down and retract the flaps one level, 20%, 20 degrees, so you can see the speed is gaining, and then I can retract the flaps completely. Our speed is increasing, and what we want to do is to climb to 4,500 feet, so I'll maintain my nose a little bit above the imagined horizon line, and we're aiming for our first waypoint. The beginning of the flight is quite simple. We have very clear visual guides. So once we reach the valley here, we turn to the right. We will follow the valley to waypoint 2, and I'll be back once we reach waypoint 2. So I'm almost at waypoint 1. You can see the valley where I have to take a right-hand turn, so I can take the right-hand turn right now and go into the valley. Notice that I keep on climbing. I want to reach 4,500 feet. So this is the valley where we had to turn into at waypoint 1. I'll be right back once we reach waypoint 2. So at waypoint 2 I took a right-hand turn. I will tilt the map and we are aiming now due south. So we can see here what course we have to follow. It's 165 and it's about, let me tilt this a little bit, it's about 9 nautical miles at 165. So let me put this back into perspective, and when I go to my plane I can see that I'm following a course of about 165, and we have to do that for 9 nautical miles. Now 9 nautical miles at our speed of about 150 1.5 miles per hour, it should be about 6-7 minutes. So let's follow 165 and let's try to recognize our next landmark. So if we have a look here, there's the river. The landmark that we are looking for waypoint 3 is actually urban area on the left hand side of our wing. Is there more that we can see? Maybe we will see the lake in front of us if there's no mountains obstructing to see that lake. But I think the most important is to see a slight turn of the river to the left and the city of Grand Coeur here to the left hand side. And that's when we will start aiming for a heading of 119, as you can see here. A course of 119 once we reach that village right there. So I think the village is probably, there's a good chance it's what we are seeing here on the right hand side of our nose. So we will have to double check that once we are a little bit closer. Yes, that's the turn that the river makes on our map. So that's our next waypoint, and then I think we had to follow 19. Let me verify that, 19 and something. So what I saw now in front of my nose is this bend in the river. So we are reaching waypoint 3 and we have to follow then course, let me flip it, 119. And we will follow that all the way up to the peak here in front of us. So back to the plane. We have to follow 119 now, and I know that Courchevel is at an elevation of 6,500 feet, so we will try to be at 7,500 when we reach the next waypoint. So I'm following 119, as you can see right here, up to the next waypoint, and let's steadily climb. I'll be back once we are near the final waypoint. So let me plan the final approach to Courchevel. As you can see, we have the final waypoint in front of us and Courchevel to the right hand side. And now what I am going to look for is actually the mountain peaks. As you see to the left hand side, we have a very high mountain, Doudemoutier, at 8,166 feet, and in front of us we should see the Dent de Villars, which is this mountain, and we are aiming for that mountain at 7,493 feet. It should be in front of us, a set of high peaks, the highest peaks that we can see here. So we are aiming for that mountain, and we are going to take a right-hand turn once we reach that mountains. So I'm following 119. I'm trying to climb to 7,500, so I'll put a little bit more throttle. And I think the high peak that we are looking for is that peak protruding here above the next ridge. So we have to climb over that ridge, which I am trying to do now. And then we should see Courchevel. Once we reach that ridge there, that mountain peak, we should see Courchevel to the right hand side. So I'm gonna fast forward a little bit and I'll be right back. So I'm getting nearer that highest peak, and indeed if we look at the right hand side we can see the airport of Courchevel to the right hand side. I'm also at about 7,500 feet, so here is the airport of Courchevel to the right hand side of the highest peak here. This peak was the one we are aiming for, so I'm going to prepare for landing. First thing, I'm going to reduce speed to 2000 knots. And off screen I'm going to set the flaps to 10%. We are aiming for the airport on the right hand side there, this airfield. So we have successfully found our way. And now once we reach that smaller peak here, we are going to take a right hand turn. So I'll reduce my throttle even further. In a while, we are heading for the beautiful snow-capped peaks. I have already my throttle to around 2000 rounds per minute and my flaps to 10%. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a right-hand turn now and reduce my throttle to 1700 and set the flaps to 20%. Well, as I'm a bit low, I'm going to maintain it at 1900. And where is the runway? Oh yeah, there it is. Let me go a little bit to the left. The runway is right in front of us. As you can see, Courchevel, the runway is a little bit aside of the city. It's not a city, it's a village. And it's a runway that's very short and that is, well, on a climbing hill. So I will now reduce my throttle to 1700. As you can see here, right here. I'm reducing it to 1700. And I'm putting my flaps to full. And now I should have a speed going down to 61. Make sure not to stall. And we are in for our landing. I'll try to keep my speed above 61, otherwise I will stall. But now with this descent rate, should have a, well, quite technical landing. Aiming to going quite steeply to the runway so that I can maintain speed due to the gravity. And now I'm aiming right for that number 22 there. I'm watching my speed, 64, 63, it's a little bit low.
500.
And then we are going to put throttle to 0.
Stall.
And here we are. Put throttle up again so that we go up the hill. And here is the beautiful ski resort of Courchevel. All we have to do now is find a spot to park our plane. And we successfully traveled all the way from Albertville using VFR to Courchevel. Thank you for watching. If you want to see more videos from Sonic Gazelle pilots, please give it a thumbs up and maybe subscribe. Bye bye now.